Hello, this is the start of a little series of small videos to explain you how to use D3 together with the front-end compiler Svelte. So let's start. Today we're going to look into the Svelte D3 starter repository that I created on GitHub and that you can fork, clone and work with. And to show you the whole thing from the beginning, we'll switch to like the terminal here, and we can just git clone this repository here. So you get the link here and just fill it in. And so we're cloning this whole repository in here. So we have this Svelte D3 starter. So we're changing directories, going directly into it. And we have a quick look of the different files, and we can see, well, this is a Vite project, and it comes with all the batteries with Svelte and D3 that you need to build nice data visualizations. So what we're going to do is we're just running an npm install to install all the dependencies, i.e. Svelte and D3 and some other small stuff. And so we have now this node modules folder which contains all the dependencies including D3. So now then let's go to our code editor. So we can just do something like this, for example, and we go into VS Code where we can see like our full setup of different files here. And we have here the source directory where we have an app.svelte where we can directly start writing our Svelte code in. So what we should do now is we should run in the console our development server, which you can just do by npm run dev. And then we get this URL localhost port 5173, and I already opened that here in Chrome. So we have now code editor on the left hand side and our live browser window on the right hand side. So it's just blank and empty, nothing is there. But if I write something here in my app.svelte component, for example Svelte plus D3, and I start it, you can see it appears here right on the top. It's very small. Well, I mean, it's just a simple text. And that's also not what we want to do. We want to do some data viz, so let's get rid of that again. I thought we could start by something which is called WizHub, and WizHub is a platform where you can build data visualizations with D3 and with all kinds of other libraries and stuff. And it's pretty nice because it's very colorful. It's built by Curran, who's also in the field of data viz for a long time. And he has the starter project here where he builds these nice colorful circles with D3, and you can see like this single index.js file which is doing all D3 magic, which is like implementing an SVG, which is a scalable vector graphics. And this is basically the container for our data visualization. Then it comes with some data for this handful of circles. And then we have here these nice little chaining or chained functions from D3 with the select all and data and join and stuff like that, which is the typical D3 imperative coding style to couple the data to the visualization in your browser. So you can see that here circle elements are joined to the SVG for each of the data points, one circle, and then Curran sets all the different attributes here. And of course D3 is really nice. It's very powerful. It's the most powerful graphics library for the web that we have, and it's absolutely cool to work with it. But there's a simpler style to implement data visualizations with D3, and that's if we combine it with Svelte, and because then we can write code in a declarative style, and I'll show you how that works. So let's just take over the data here. So all these circles with like X and Y positions and radii and fill colors, and let's go to our code editor and also show our live window here. And a Svelte file always contains, or it can contain, a script part, an a main part, which is not the main part, which is an HTML part, and a CSS part here. In fact, it's just an HTML file if you wish. And so we just paste in data, which is an array of JavaScript objects. Well, my mouse doesn't work anymore. Now it's working. This is one object, which is one circle. So we can just tell this component, this app.svelte, that we have now the data in. Of course, the rendering here on the right hand side isn't changing right now because we haven't build anything in our markup. And so here within the main, we just create now a new SVG, and we don't do that with some imperative coding style by JavaScript functions as in the initial example, but we just write it as an SVG HTML element here. And we have to give that SVG a width and a height. So let's just say we give it a width of 1000 pixels and a height of 500 pixels. Alright, now we have an SVG, but actually we cannot see it. But the good thing is, let me just switch back to current version and make that a little bit smaller. The good thing is, also current gives his SVG a background color with that, I don't know which color it is. It looks like a slight green to me, so let's also implement that. So what we can do here in our code is just go to the CSS style, grab our SVG HTML element and say it should get a background of exactly that color. And if we go back now to our live server, we can see, okay, there's the SVG now with this green background color. Everything's good. All right. Then we need now our circles. So within the SVG element, we basically want to create circle elements, and they look like that. And they can have like different attributes, like there's a CX, which should get a number. So let me just fill in 100 here. There's a CY with 100 pixels. So that means that's the center X and Y positions. And then we can fill in a radius, and we can give the whole thing a fill color. So let's make that black for the moment. And well, if we store that, we get like this one black circle here on our SVG. That's nice so far, but now we want to use basically the data here on top to generate our circles. And that's possible in Svelte with a loop in the HTML part here. So we have an each block for each of the data. We want to destructure like the different properties of the objects in our data array. So there's an X, there's a Y, there's an R, and there's a fill. And we close this each block like that. And then we have like the circles here, so that doesn't change anything. But now like 6 circles are drawn, but they are still black because we have these fixed variables here. So let's just use for CX now our real X value. For CY, we use our real Y value from the data, and for radius, we use the R variable. And then we also have to fill. So let's do it like that, and boom, we now have like 6 circles with the different colors. There's still a slight difference going back like to the version from current. You can see that these circles have a little opacity or not a little transparency on them. And that's because here in the very last line of the D3 code, current applies an opacity of 0.708 to all of the circles. So we can just copy that, go back to our project and just like put this opacity here on. So within the curly braces, I can use just some JavaScript expressions, so I can also calculate stuff like that. And if I put that opacity on, we have the circles, and they just look the same as in the Wizard project. And this is how you write the code with Svelte. So it's much more declarative, so we don't use any JavaScript stuff really here. So we just define the data in the JavaScript part of our app.svelte component here. And then as HTML, we directly declare this SVG element. We directly declare circle elements. We could even style like the circles here. So for example, we could have even put the opacity in the in the CSS part here, so something like that. Let's see if that's working. So you can see nothing is really changing because that also works. So we can access these elements with CSS very easily. And we have this each block, which makes clear, okay, we run through this array of data, and for each of these objects here, we are just building one circle. So that's how you build the circles with SVG. Yes, but I did want to say that's how you build these circles with Svelte and D3. Thanks and see you next time. Bye.